Hey everyone, it's me, Joshua, feature filmmaker from Feature Filmmaker 39480 Reviews, where I talk movies, TV, and music, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys like what you see here, be sure to like this video, comment on this video, and share this video, because it does help support the channel, and it does help with the algorithm, and it does help this channel get noticed, and videos like this get more views. With that being said, let's get into what we're going to talk about. So, even though I've been doing 2022 reviews and Black History Month reviews, I'm still getting almost near complete caught up with 2021 reviews. I am still in the process of editing my most disappointing and bit surprises that I do my best of, and my 2020 live movie ranking. But I decided, even though I'm reviewing quite a few more solo movies by themselves, I wanted to finish off 2021 with another catch-up review, and we're talking about quite a couple of movies in here. I still have movies that I've yet to talk about, like Nightmare Alley and The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Zola, while doing 2022 reviews. I'm only one person. I'm only one person who edits and does all that stuff, so I very much appreciate you guys for your patience. And with that being said, we're going to take a look at 2022 Roundup Part 2. This time we have 10 movies to talk about, and I'm going to make this a little easier. I'm going to work my way up with the good movie, bad movie. And without that being said, we're just gonna have fun with this, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get this out of the way right now with easily the worst movie of last year, one of the worst that I have yet to review. This is easily one of the worst movies of last year that I did not get a chance to do a solo review, so I decided to take it here. And with that being said, we're gonna start this shit off with Ape vs. Monster.
We've got a problem.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right now. Ape vs. Monster is one of the most insulting and embarrassing films that I saw in 2021 last year. It is beyond belief that the Asylum, of all people, who is known for making these rip-off movies, literally look at the movie that ends up on that you will see on my best of 2021 and ripped it off. What movie am I talking about? Godzilla vs. Kong. The reason why I'm gonna say it, Godzilla. This is definitely what this movie is. It's an entire rip-off of Godzilla vs. Kong. It has ape and monster in it. It tries to be like it. It's just a scene for scene, word for word, except without any of the fun, any of the awesomeness, any of the epitastic fun this movie is.
What the fuck happened? Hey!
You wanna know why Godzilla vs. Kong is a better movie than this? Because Godzilla vs. Kong, it knew its audience. The characters were not the greatest in this movie, in that movie, but this easily is the worst contender for some of the worst characters in the freaking kaiju movie. And at least, I'm just gonna get into the plot right now, okay? After crash landing back to Earth, an ape grows to an enormous size and dukes it out with a giant Gila monster. Does that sound familiar to you? Yes, it does, because Ape vs. Monster. There is not. I hate almost nearly every single darn thing when it comes to this movie. Every single damn thing in this movie. There is almost not a single damn redeeming positive in here.
I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it. Unquote. And so on. All together.
There's not a single damn redeeming quality in this. No, almost little to none. Because this is truly one of these sorriest attempts for a freaking ripoff to a kaiju movie I have seen ever.
What the hell?
I seen Shark. Hey, the Sharknado movies, they're entertainingly bad, they're dumb, they're stupid, they're cheesy, but at the very least, the Sharknado movies, they're some of my guilty pleasures. I can enjoy some silly, dumb ripoffs. I can have fun with them, but I can also be pissed off about some of them. The Asylum, you have been doing this for so long, and the fact that you literally have to steal from Godzilla vs. Kong in every way possible is insulting to not only just me, but also people who love this movie. Even if you don't like this movie, the one thing we can all agree on with Godzilla vs. Kong is that that was a better made movie than this bullshit. The directing and the writing in this movie is truly some of the worst writing and directing I've seen in this entire movie. It is beyond ridiculous how bad the direction and writing is. Nobody feels like a real character. The action scenes and the execution of this movie is truly dumb and stupid. And the writing in this movie is so freaking bad that no character feels like a real character in this movie. It feels like you take everything from Godzilla vs. Kong that works and bring it down to a T. I know people have issues with characters in the MonsterVerse. Say whatever you want about Kong Skull Island. Say whatever you want about this King of the Monsters or 2014 Godzilla. But at least those characters, at the very least, were competently acted despite not having the best character development. This is just bad on an embarrassing level to each of the characters in this movie, and I felt heavily irritated as I was watching this. I could not believe that this got made. I could not believe that something like this got freaking greenlit like this. And just not only that, the bullshit of all bullshit in this movie, the worst thing you could easily screw up when it comes to Ape vs. Monster is the monster action. Granted, is a terribly edited, terribly shot. The effects are complete and utter dog crap, which is I'm not surprised because this is, of course, compared to Godzilla vs. Kong, which had a $170 million budget.
Oh, hell no!
I'm just gonna now. Obviously, I'm just saying the characters in this movie are terrible. No, this movie had a $175 to $200 million budget, and every single effect, production design, even the costumes and locations didn't feel cheap. Whereas this movie, I get it, it's a made-for-DVD movie, I get it. But there is no excuse for how bad the effects are, how bad the costume design, the cinematography, everything from a technical aspect is bad. Not even the music is good.
Fuck! Fuck! Fuck, motherfucker! Motherfucker!
The music is basically trying to be this again. If I want to listen to Godzilla Ape vs. Monster, I'll listen to this soundtrack. This was a better soundtrack compared to this. And not only that, you have truly some of the worst acting that I saw last year. Granted, it's not as bad as some of the characters in the After We Fell movie or that, but it is still pretty bad all the way around. The only good actor, the only positive that could come out of the performances was Eric Roberts. He is a good actor. I like him as an actor. I like him in The Dark Knight. I've seen him in some other movies. He's a very good actor. Granted, he's working with a terrible script, but darn it, he is the best actor in this entire movie. The rest of the actors are just not any better. You have this main black character, Arianna Scott. Granted, I'm sure this is not her fault. We ought to start somewhere, but this is also the worst performance I've seen out of her. And I'm not even sure this is her debut. So, if it's her debut, she's bad in the movie, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Because if I don't, then never act again. Katie, Sereika, Shayne, Hartigan, the rest of the cast of this movie is no fucking better, so there is no reason for me to go any further with this cast whatsoever. And on top of that, I'm going to say this right now. Another one of the good things, these are the only two redeeming qualities I can say besides Yeah. And also, you stole from Rampage, the movie. Yeah, the movie with Rock, you stole from that movie. That movie and this movie are better than this. Because The Asylum, if I have to say the other secondary positive, I'll say it right now. I think the kaiju monster action, despite the shitty effects, is one of the best things in this movie. That and Eric Roberts' performances are the only two redeeming qualities here, but that's not enough to save this when the rest of your movie is complete and utter crap.
You bastard!
This is one of the worst movies I saw last year. There is a reason why this is one of my least favorite films of 2021. For sure, I will never watch this movie again. I will never sit through this again. I have sat through it. It's awful. It's horrible. A vs. Monster, not a good movie. And it really tries so hard to be Godzilla vs. Kong, except the fact that that movie is better than that, and everything that movie did better, this movie miserably failed, epitastically. The only reason why this movie gets I got this movie a half star on my letterbox is because it's kaiju action, and that just kept me awake, which kept me awake from this boring mess of a movie. It's only under an hour, but it felt like 7.5 hours. A vs. Monster, you already know what I'm gonna give this. This easily gets the worst of the worst. Get out of my face, club. In that case, on letter grade is an F. An F for fuck this movie.
The White Tiger. Century of the brown man and the yellow man, and God save everybody else.
Okay, now that I got that out of my system, we're going to talk about The White Tiger now, which was one of the biggest surprises of last year that I thought was actually really damn good. I was absolutely impressed with comes to The White Tiger, a fantastic film from last year that I was fully ready to do a full-on standalone review for this, but I didn't get a chance to do it for one reason or the other because of reasons or personal things going on. But I will say this right now: The White Tiger is definitely one of the better movies that Netflix has done last year. I was very impressed with this movie. Of course, this is produced by Ava DuVernay and Priyanka Chopra, and this is directed by Ramin Bahrani, and this is based on a novel of the same name about what the story is trying to tell. And the story that this movie is trying to tell, of course, the plot of the film, obviously, I'm going to say, a rich Indian's family's ambitions driver uses his wits and cunning to escape from poverty and rise to the top as an entrepreneur. This was definitely a really good movie with an excellent story. First of all, the story is basically what you've seen before, a rags to riches story, but done with an Indian main character. And I think it does a very good job at saying what it's set out to be. And I definitely get why this movie was so praised, and I get why this movie was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. It's a well-written screenplay. It's a well-written, executed film that I think is amazingly, brilliantly crafted. And on top of that, I think the writing and the dialogue and the characterization, especially for our main character of the film, who is played by Adarsh Gourav, he does a very good job in the performance. I thought he did a very good job in what he was given. I thought he was very good, very likable. You want him to get out of the situation. I very much appreciated him, of course. I also very much really liked Rajkummar Rao as Balaram's master. He was very good in his performance as well, and I really thought that he brought his A game in the movie. He was one of my favorite parts of the entire movie. Also, you have Priyanka Chopra in this movie, who is a great actress. I liked her in Matrix Resurrections. I thought she was pretty good in Baywatch. Quantico, I thought she was entertaining from what clips I seen. and We Could Be Heroes, I actually enjoyed her there too. Here, I definitely liked her character as the wife. She's understandable and wanting to help out with our main character in his mission. The rest of the cast in this movie is good too. I thought it was a very well written, well acted movie from performances wise. Everyone in this movie was giving a performance. And the fact that this was based off a novel and based off a true story, I didn't even know it. And just, I thought the way the movie handled it was satisfying very well. I was enjoying the movie. I thought the film was really well handled. Very well done as far as directing and writing. I think the technical aspects in this movie are very good. I love the technicality of it from a editing standpoint, a cinematography standpoint. And there was a lot of setbacks that this character has to go through. I very much appreciated what this movie was trying to do. And for the entire 2 hours and 5 minutes, I was into it. I was very much enjoying a lot of this movie. I think the score is really great. It's a very good looking movie. The Indian locations look fantastic. And the cinematography and editing is also really good as well. So I very much enjoyed that as well. The only real sort of criticism I do have when it comes to this is it does get a little slow in terms of the second half of the movie. It is a little slow, but at the end of the day, I didn't really have a problem with it because I was enjoying the movie that much, and I did feel like some actors did get a little bit underutilized, but I very much enjoyed what the movie was trying to go for. It does have a grimly compelling look to it. It did have some funny moments, but it also did have its very dramatic moments that his heart was in the right place, and I was very, very happy with that. So I was definitely very much enjoyed by this one. Better than Vampire Academy for this one. I definitely enjoyed this.
He popped. Oh, I wish I knew how to fight.
Hop on.
Best friends forever.
I wish.
As far as I can see, I got everything I need.
I wish this traffic would just...
Yes, go ahead.
Long. I'm not gonna waste a wish on traffic.
Look, you're gonna have to use your... You're gonna have to use... You're gonna have to... You're gonna have to use it.
If only I had a magical dragon that could fly me across the city.
If you ask me, I think Wish Dragon was definitely one of the more underrated animated movies of 2021. And definitely one of the more overlooked films from Netflix in terms of animation. It's not the best movie ever made, but you know what? I think Wish Dragon, all it needed to be was an entertaining kids movie for children. I definitely think that Luca and the Mitchells vs. Machines was better, but I did enjoy Wish Dragon more than I thought it was. Of course, this one was initially supposed to go to theaters by Sony Pictures Animation. Columbia and Sony was supposed to release this in animation, and this did premiere in China last year, but Netflix, because of the ever-going pandemic situation and the fact that this was supposed to go to theaters on July 26, 2019 and delayed to 2020, and it became part of the Netflix summer slate. And this is a movie that I've seen some people say it's not that good grades, but you know, I think it's a very entertaining little movie for kids that I think families can enjoy. It does borrow similarities to Aladdin, but change things up. But I appreciate the effort of what they tried to do. This is directed by Chris Applehands, written by him and 4 other writers. This stars Jackie Chan, Jimmy Won, John Chu, Jimmy L. Yang, Aaron Yu, Ronnie Sheen, Wen Yun Lee, and Natasha Leo Bordizzo, who I saw in The Voyeurs last year in September. So, the plot of this movie is Den is a determined teenager and who's longing to reconnect with his childhood best friend when he meets a granting wish dragon. A dragon who grants wishes that shows him the magical possibilities. So, there are 3 magical wishes, of course, similar to Latin, but one life-changing adventure. And the thing I very much appreciate about Wish Dragon is that it's just wanting to be a fun little adventure. It's not trying to be the deepest thing ever. It wants to be an entertaining movie. And I am a sucker for animated movies, and I very much enjoyed what this movie was going for here. It does have the Aladdin tropes, but you know what? It is exactly. Everyone describes it that way. It is plot points to it. I'll give you that. But that's just the easiest thing to complain about. It does some things different from Aladdin. One, the dragon isn't immediately the friend of the Den, but he slowly turns better and becomes his friend throughout the movie. The relationship is so far different than Genie and Aladdin. They don't get together at the end. It's just hinted at the end of being friends. And the dragon has a full-on backstory and full character. He's not better than the Genie, but I think some of the things they try to do differently works enough for me. And I also very much like the style of animation. Last year, the Chinese film community, they just said, we're coming back with a bang despite what's happened to us. Shang-Chi was really great. I love that movie. I thought the fact that you had a part Asian actress in Haley Steinfeld playing Kate Bishop last year, I thought that was pretty great. Snake Eyes wasn't the greatest, but it is serviceable, but should have been more than serviceable. But the Asian community last year had a full-on resurgence despite the conditions. And I love the voice acting in the movie. I think the voice acting is very strong. You have Jimmy Wong. He does a good job as Din Song. You have John Cho as Long, who is the all-powerful dragon of granting wishes. I like their chemistry. It's very fun, it's charming, it's sweet, it's very lighthearted, as you would expect it to be. Jimmy Yang and Aaron Yu I thought were really good. I have Natasha Leo Bordizzo as Li Na Wang. She does a very good job in her role. Constance Wu as the mother of Dean. So, I think all the performances in this movie are also really good. And this was the first Sony Pictures Animation movie to be produced by Base Animation, which is part of the visual effects firm Base Effects, and features visual effects and animation provided by Industrial Light and Magic. So, they did make world-class animation in China for China in the world, and I very much love that. I love the culture and the representation of it here. It definitely is there in a lot of areas. Some of the juvenile humor, however, for a kids movie, I don't think it really works that well as it should. But I think for the most part, it is quirky. It does have some funny moments, and it did live up to what it set out to do. And it definitely knew what it was trying to go for. So therefore, I definitely do appreciate the effort. I appreciate the fact that they were trying to do something entertaining for it. And I enjoyed the direction, and I think the writing was great. I think the visual scale of it, and I thought the score is actually really damn impressive. Like I said, the only real issues, of course, it does have similarities to Latin a little bit, but it's not a complete ripoff. And there is some humor that isn't always great, but I think for the performance that they're given, I thought was actually really entertaining. So, in that cases, I definitely did enjoy watching this. It's under an hour and 38 minutes. The budget looks really great for a $25 million budget. And while while it's not one of my best animated movies last year, this is a movie I definitely enjoyed a lot, and I had a fun time watching the film. Definitely, you're going to highly recommendation for this one.
It's over, Beckett.
What did you want with me?
Alright, so Beckett. This is a movie I thought was fine. It's not great, it's not perfect, but I don't think it was that bad. I just think this is a very serviceable at best movie. This is directed by Fernando Saito Filarmina, stars John David Washington and Boyd Holbrook and Alicia Vikander and Vicky Krieps. The premise of this movie is an American tourist in Greece finds himself on the run after a tragic accident plunges him into a political conspiracy that makes him a target for assassination. So when it comes to this, I can say this. I think the direction is really good, and I think the screenplay, for the most part, is solid. They do have some nice, interesting ways they try to go about the story with this main character, played by John David Washington, on the run, and him trying to figure out what happened to his wife, and also trying to figure out why he's on the run about this crash. I did enjoy that premise, and I think John David Washington as Beckett does a very good job in the role. I like his performance. He does do a great job. Alicia Vikander is great as April. I think she did a good job for the screen time she has with the movie. I thought she was very good as well. Boyd Holbrook is an employee of the U.S. Embassy in Athens. I thought he was really good in his role. And Vicky Krieps as Lena, I thought was really good as the political activist in Greece. So I think all the performances in this movie are very good. I have to say, the cinematography standpoint, I think the movie is great. And the propulsive energy that this movie has as far as action and direction and writing, and just the thrills, of course, it makes its mark. It does make its mark for the movie that is set out. And I definitely do appreciate the fact that it was very well handled. I think it was very well executed as well. And I will say, from a cinematography standpoint and editing and music standpoint, I thought the movie was actually very well handled. It's a very well handled movie. I think they really went into it with a lot of energy and a lot of intensity that goes on in the film. So you definitely succeeded in that point. The main problem for me that I have with this movie is I think the script needed a little bit more meat to it. There is enough meat and potatoes there, but I feel like that it needed a little bit more to go to it. Granted, I was enjoying it for the small run time that it gets. It gets you in and out. It's an hour and 48 minutes, but I felt like there should have been a lot more there. I like the Italian and Greece landscape that you're going with, but I felt like this dialogue and some of the more characterization, we need a little bit more time on certain things. With the relationship with April and Beckett, why are they after him? Why are they trying to kill him? Why are they trying to take him on? And I felt like we needed a little bit more time with that. I felt like you needed at least an extra couple minutes to explore it. But I felt like you did try enough. I just feel like if the movie was a little bit longer and there was certain more things that were added onto it, I think you could easily have this bit a step up in terms of the grade I'm going to give it. And I will say, when you get to the whole reveal and you get to the whole scenario of it, I will say for the most part it was interesting, but I think it could have been executed a bit better. It definitely needs to be executed a little bit better in terms of its execution and what it's trying to set out to do. I felt like you need a bit more of that to take on. But I did feel like For some of what you're trying to do, it needed a little bit more rewriting, and also the movie is a little bit slow paced in some aspects. When the thrills start going, the thrills start going, but when it stops for certain things, especially exposition, I feel like that could have been done just a little bit better. It's not like I was hating or anything, it's just like, okay, you could have done this better. But at the end of the day, it is a serviceable, watchable enough movie that while I probably won't watch it again, I'm glad I at least watched it once. So I did enjoy it for what it was. As well as this next one, which is also in that same length.
But this is my fight too.
Going after powerful people is a dangerous business.
As long as we're together, we're still a family.
Because this next one, which is Sweet Girl, this one was kind of I did enjoy most of it. I enjoyed the movie until we got to the ending of the film. This is, of course, Jason Momoa, Isabella Moner, and Manuel Garcia Ruffalo, and Adria Arjona for a little bit, and Amy Brahmanan. This is directed by Brian Andrew Mendoza. And this, of course, this is a feature his directorial debut, and here's what I will say about this plot of the movie. The plot of this movie, Sweet Girl, I think is a very good plot. You have a man vowing to bring justice to his family out and to those responsible after his wife's death, while protecting the only family he has left, which is his daughter. Which, I gotta say right now, the chemistry between Jason Momoa and Isabella Moner is the best thing in this movie. They have good chemistry. Their camaraderie and their amazing performances in this movie, it will keep this movie afloat. They do a very good job in a lot of it, and I definitely do appreciate what this movie was going for. And I definitely did enjoy a lot of what the movie does, and I did enjoy what this movie was going for in the first two acts. I think Jason Momoa is great. I like Jason Momoa. He's a very fun actor to watch. He has the bro mojo to him, which I enjoy, and I think he does that very well here. He's great as Aquaman. He's great in Dune. Jason Momoa is awesome to listen to, and I'm actually curious to see what he's going to do in Fast 10, even though I'm a little iffy about it because of my thoughts on the last movie. But I think, if anything, he will be a standout in that movie. Isabella Moner is really good. She has came a long way since 100 Things to Do Before High School. She's great there. She was one of the best things in Transformers The Last Night, even though that's not saying much. And I think she is great in this movie. She really does do a good job in the role. Adria Arjona, for the little bit that she's in, she's great. You also have Lex Scott Davis, Amy Brahmanan, and Manuel Garcia Ruffalo as the main villain. All the performances in this movie are great. I will say, the action scenes and the way the movie is directed and the stunts and the brutality in this movie is really good. I really love the action scenes and the way this movie takes on those action scenes. It's very well handled. I think it's very well done from action standpoints. There's not a lot of CGI. It's a lot of brutality. It gets what is going on. And I definitely did appreciate what the movie was doing. I appreciate the fact that we're trying to go for something a little different in the first two acts. And I enjoyed the first two acts. And then directing-wise and writing-wise is also really good. The movie's biggest detriment, however, is when you get into that finale and the cliche story. It is a story that we've seen before. which definitely does kind of plague the movie a little bit. So it definitely does come into play with that alone. But I felt like that could have been done a little bit better in terms of its writing and its execution. There's only so much you can do with directing and such that it is really the story that counts. And what I feel like the movie did lose me is that last half. I think that last half definitely lost me. I really didn't like the decision that they made with the stupid twist at the end with having Isabella Moner be, of course, the whole Jason Momoa's character and doing the fake passport. I thought that was just pretty too much, and the twist that they go with him, it is with Ray and Ashley Rachel and dying at the subway. It's PTSD. The whole crazy plot twist that they go with at the end is the biggest what the F, and it does bring this movie down to a grade A lot, and I wish that was done at least a bit better, if I'm being completely honest, because I definitely did feel that should have been done better than it was. And I will say, obviously, of course, I was very much concerned with the way they did it here. It's just not very interesting. And that whole ending should not even made the final cut about it. And some of the cliche writing, the cliche story did kind of hurt the movie a bit. And it did bring this grade down to what I initially gave it. Do I think it's a terrible movie? No, I don't think it's a bad movie. I just felt like if you fix that last half up and you will change some things, especially the twist ending, I felt like this easily would have been a better movie. Now, look, I don't hate the movie. I think it's a decently well-made film, but it's not a movie I'm going to watch again anytime soon. So, with that being said, I will give it a walk away. You can say stream it. Well, at least once. I know one of my friends hated the movie, and that's fine. We agree, disagree. I thought it was fine, but I think it should have been better than just fine.
Failure.
All they see is another black man with a rap sheet.
Dog.
Looks the part to me.
No one has any idea who I am.
You can still do great things.
He's a monster.
Should one moment define my life?
Moving on into Monster, we have quite 5 more of these to go and we will end this. So, I reviewed the first 5. So here I am talking about the last couple ones. So, Monster, of course, this is directed by Anthony Mandler. It is based on the novel of the same name by Walter Dean Myers. And this is, of course, stars Calvin Harrison Jr., Jennifer Ellie, Tim Blake Nelson, ASAP Rocky in his film. I think this is the first movie he did. John David Washington, Jennifer Hudson, and Jeffrey Wright. In this movie, we follow Steve Hartman, who is a 17-year-old honor student whose world comes crashing down when he is charged with felony murder. So he soon faces a complex legal battle that could end up spending him the rest of the life in prison. And so that way he has to, when it comes to his legal battle, he has to get it resolved so he won't go to prison, pretty much. Monster, this was actually a really very interesting film. I very much did enjoy this one. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as great as it should have been, though. There are quite a few things that does kind of set this movie back. But I did think Monster was a very well acted film, is a very well directed film, and I think it was a very well crafted film. It definitely was worth watching. I definitely didn't hate myself watching it. It was actually one of the better movies that I watched. And once again, another good Netflix drama. First off, the performances. I want to say that every performance in this movie is really great. This is a very well acted film. I love the performances. I think everyone in this movie stood out. Nobody really felt like they were not giving it all. And on the surface, this should have easily been a boring, generic genre that we've seen, drama movie that we've seen before. But I think a lot of things, this is definitely a gut-wrenching movie, but not gut-wrenching as I hoped it could have been. But it was pretty tense, and it was an emotional journey that did move me. But at the same time, this movie definitely did sicken me on how the justice system and how corrupt and how flawed it can be. And this isn't the first time a movie like this has done this. With the trial of Chicago 7 and many courtroom dramas like this has done it a lot too. I think this movie has a lot going for it in terms of its direction. I think the direction in this movie does go into something we've seen, and it's a very well directed film for the most part. I like the ambitiousness that it tries to go for about the story, and it definitely does handle its themes and subject matter very well. Despite it getting a little bit too over the top, which is one of the issues in some moments, it did get a little over the top and a little overly sentimental for its own good and direction process, but I felt like it definitely did know what it was trying to do, and it set out to do its mission, was to tell this story. Also, but getting into the acting, I think every performance in this movie is well done. This is a very strongly acted film. I think Calvin Harrison Jr., he is really good in this movie. I do know who he is. I've seen him do some work before this. He was great in 12 Years a Slave. I thought he was great in Ender's Game, The Trial of Chicago 7, and Waves. I didn't see Loose, but I heard this was actually really good. And I did feel his other performances that I've seen, he's really good here as the main character. You're rooting for him as the character of Steve to get out of the situation. He's dealing with a lot on his shoulders with the court case and his dreams crashing down. He's really good too. Jeffrey Wright and Jennifer Hudson as Mr. and Mrs. Hartman, they shined the most here. Jennifer Hudson and Jeffrey Wright, there are two great actors, and they're one of my favorite actors of all time, especially in the black community. Jennifer Hudson, well known as a singer, Oscar-winning actress. She was great as Aretha Franklin last year, and I very much think she brings her acting performance chops here once again as the mother. While Jeffrey Wright is definitely the heart of the movie in his performance, I thought they both did very good, trying to be there for their son and supporting sides. Jennifer L.A. I thought was really good. Tim Blake Nelson. John David Washington was actually was good once again here. And John David Washington, he is slowly becoming a favorite actor of mine. He has his father's talent, Denzel Washington's talent, and he's really good in the movie too. You have ASAP Rocky, who I haven't seen a lot of him acting, but between this and the movie Dope, which is not about the drugs though, I gotta say his performance in this movie I think is really good. And also Pop Star I thought was really good. So ASAP Rocky, he is very surprisingly good at rapper actor. He's very good in this movie. Lovey Simone was really good too. I liked Nas, Jerome, Mikey Madsen, who I just recently saw in Scream 5. She was really good. I think the performances are what sells this movie. Every performance in this movie works. I can say the cinematography, from a technical standpoint, the way the camera shots and some visual choices that goes into it is very well handled with cinematography. I think the editing is really good. I love the score is good. And I definitely did feel a lot of the pressures of the weight of this movie on his shoulders. And I did like the look into the justice system in terms of the main character having to be falsely is being accused of a murder and how he's trying to get out of it, and I like that stuff. I think the thing that does bring this down for me a little bit is I felt like with just under 98 minutes, I felt like you needed a little bit extra 40 to 30 minutes for some of the characters, some of the other parts of the story. Like, the big problems, I do think the narrative should have been a little bit more focused, because it is uneven narrative, but I did enjoy the narrative story that we were getting, and I was not bored by the movie at all. I was enjoying the movie a lot to its greatest advantages. I very much loved what this movie was handling, what the movie was tackling on. And but I feel like if there was an extra few minutes of film, I felt like it could have really balanced it out a lot more to its advantages. And I will say, for the first act, it was a little very slow. It did take a while to get to, and I did feel like that could have easily been avoided with a couple editing tricks to make it seem faster, because the movie's only 98 minutes. Because once it gets to the second act and the third act, I think those are when the best parts are. And the first act definitely does have some great setup moments and some great acting moments, but I felt like some of it could have been a little faster paced, if you know what I'm saying. And I will say it doesn't go and reach its full premise. This is why I feel like you should have went more fully for it, instead of having to kind of trim everything. I did feel like there should have been a little bit more for it when it comes to it, and I did feel like some of that, the runtime should have been at least a little bit longer. And it wasn't really very handled as I felt like it should have been. And I did feel like the film should have been a little longer. So, when it comes to its full premise, it does take advantage of it, but I did just want a little bit more from it. Not that I'm saying this movie is bad, because this is a very good movie, but not great movie as it could have been. Had you have fixed that first act issue and add a little bit extra time for some extra moments to fully get through that, I definitely did feel like the movie could have been at least a 4.5 out of 5, or almost close to Spider-Verse approved or worthy. But I'm not going to sit here and say this is a terrible movie. This is a very well acted film, very good directing, very good cinematography. I just feel like with those issues being fixed, this could have been a better movie than what we got. But I did enjoy it for what we got, and I did say I was ultimately satisfied with it. This next movie, Flashback, this is directed by Christopher McBride, starring Dylan O'Brien and Hannah Gross and Michael Monroe. And in this movie, we follow Frederick Fitzel, and he starts having horrific visions of a girl who vanished in high school. And he reaches out to old friends whom he used to take a mysterious drug, but he soon realizes the only solution lies deep within his own memories. This is a premise that reminds me of three different things. Three different things. It reminds me of Bliss, it has elements of Donnie Darko, and it has elements of The Matrix. But I thought this is a pretty decently made film. It definitely is a little confusing a little bit, and it is a little bit too on the trippy side at first, which those are quite a couple of my issues when it comes to it, is the overly trippy style. But I think this is a movie that did stick with me because the feeling that it does leave you with. And Dylan O'Brien, easily, he is the best part in this movie. He's always a good actor. In the Maze Runner movies, I thought his little small voice as Bumblebee and Love and Monsters, he is a very legit great actor, and I do think he should be Nightwing for the DC Cinematic Universe. It's a different take on the Batman family. I think that would be a very interesting way to take things. I think it's a very interesting idea with Batman, but he is very attempting. He has the right balance between figuring out what's going on and having horrific visions, and he does do a good job in selling that a lot to his advantages. He is good in the movie. I think he does know what he's going for. He's not trying to go for some weird, ridiculous performance, and you feel the weight of his shoulders, him having to deal with these horrific visions and reaching out to old friends and find out that the solution is with his own memories. I like that. I think that was actually very good to handle it direction-wise, and acting-wise, it is a very strong performance from him. The rest of the cast in the movie, I think, are really good too. You have Michael Monroe, who is a seriously underrated actress, and she is very good in this movie. And I also think Hannah Gross also does a really good job. Everyone in the movie does a very good job for what they are required to do. They do serve their purpose to the story. It is a mystery thriller, so you do have to have that in there too, because I am a sucker. I am a fan for mystery thriller and with a mix of sci-fi elements that they try to take in. And I did like a lot of the scenarios they're going with here. It does take a while for the movie to get started, but you're still invested where you get to care about these characters, you still get to care about the story. From a technical standpoint, it's a very good looking film. It's a very visually striking film. You do have a good editing to it and some good visual aesthetic to it as far as direction goes. There is a lot of good visual aesthetic that comes with it, and it does find out what it is going for. I do like what the movie goes for in its approach. The plot does begin to untangle a lot of webs, so it automatically gets more investing as it goes along. But for some people, it will be a little bit of a slow burn and sluggy burn to get through. For a good majority of this movie, it was a little sluggish for me when it comes to the slow pacing. But as it kept going along, as it went awry, I do feel like the film is definitely trying to say a lot of things when it comes to this story. I definitely did enjoy a lot of what this movie is going for, and while it's not enough for me to fully give individual thoughts on and go further into, I will say I'm glad I did give this a watch. Definitely give this a watch if you haven't. The next thing I want to talk about now is boss level.
They have an army. All I have is time. I need to learn how to fight with a sword.
Someone's been the busiest little beaver.
I've been waiting for this for a long time.
This was one of the most fun, entertaining movies that I watched last year. Big surprise. I like these kind of time loop movies where someone's stuck in the time loop and they have to get out of it. I enjoyed those type of movies. Happy Death Day, the Tiny Map for Perfect Things and such. This was directed by Joe Carnahan, which this stars Frank Grillo, Naomi Watts, Mel Gibson, Matilda Olivia Ken-Jeong. This was a fun movie. I loved this. This was so fun. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It is your usual thing that we've seen before, but it's very well handled and well done. And I had me a good time watching this movie. A former special force agent is trapped in a time loop, and he relives his death over and over again. To escape this terrible situation, he must track down those responsible and stop them. It's basically something you've seen before. Take Happy Death Day and make it into an action movie, but I think it's worth the watch. First off, the direction in this movie is very high tech, is very high stain, and I enjoy a lot of that. And I was having fun with it. It was entertaining. I very much loved the way this movie went about it with its freaking idea. It was cool. And I just liked the way the movie played out. You like a lot of it. It was very entertaining to see how this worked very well. And it was just a lot of fun to do. And it was really cool to see how this premise goes. And I was enjoying a lot of it. It was very entertaining. It was very fun. I very much liked the action sequences and direction. It's very crazy and fun, and it is gleefully over the top, but it does have fun and reveling in its own excessive behavior. It is increasingly crowded, but I think it makes for the better of it. It's fun. I just like the direction. I think the writing is not the greatest, but it's very serviceable. It's very entertaining for an action movie like this. Cinematography-wise, though, the camera work, and the music work. It's like John Wick and Groundhog Day, and you put them in a blender, and it's like this. And Frank Grillo in the lead role, he's having the ball. He's an awesome action star, very good actor. I think he was really good in the movie for what he does have to do. I also very much like the performances, of course. I did love the performances of the rest of the cast, too. You have Mel Gibson. He's a very fun villain, of course. I think he's really fun. It's a very original, interesting idea with it as Clive Ventor. He's very entertaining, fun role. Naomi Watts does a very good job. Annabelle Wallace is good in here. Ken Jeong, I thought was really good here. And also, Michelle Yeoh had a lot of fun, too, in her small screen time. I thought she was very entertaining as well for what she had to do. Matilda Olivier, though, I was hoping after Overlord she would get a lot more work than this. Still, it's going to take a while to get her there, but Matilda Olivier, beautiful French actress. She was great in Overlord, and she's great once again here. So I can't wait to see what she's going to be doing next, because I am rooting for her. She's awesome, and I think she does a very good job in what is required for a character like this. She does very good in what she has to do in this movie. And the performances are really good. Action scenes all the way around are brutal, intense. And I just like the way the action scenes are played out. It's very well played out in terms of action. The score and the music also is also really good. Cinematography as well is also very fun to watch. If I have any issues with it, yes, it is the thing that we've seen before, and it has been done plenty of times before, and it will be done plenty of times again. I will say the villain his motivation is not always the greatest. And I will say the time loop stuff does get a little irritating, but it all makes for the fun of it. It all makes for a very fun and awesome experience that I definitely had fun watching. It's definitely the kind of experience that is fun. And I definitely did wish this was a theatrical release, because I think if this was a theatrical release, I think more people would have heard about it and seen it. But, oh well. But other than that, I think this is a very entertaining, fun action film that I just had a fun time with, and I very much appreciated it. It was fun, not one of the best movies of last year, but I think it's a very fun movie from last year, and I did enjoy a lot of what the movie was going for. So, you're definitely getting the highly recommended for this and for Flashback.
If this was your family, what would you do?
The Gateway, this was a pretty entertaining, decent enough movie that I did enjoy this. I enjoyed this one for the most part. This one was actually pretty solid. This had no reason to be as decent as it was, because I took a look at the trailer and I was like, oh great, it's one of those. But this is another one for Grillo, so let's talk about this one. This one has the likes of Shea Wiggum, Zach Avery, Olivia Munn, Tara Manning, Keith David, and Frank Grillo. And in this one, we're following a social worker who is assigned to take care of the daughter of a single mother, and it intervenes when the dad returns from prison and lures them into a life of crime. So, in this, you do have to have this main character have to stop it, and in that case, all hell breaks loose. So obviously, we're going to talk about this one. I want to talk about it. This one was actually a serviceable, fun, entertaining way. First, I think the premise is something we've seen before, but I definitely do like what the movie is going for. It's a very interesting film. I think the direction is really good. I think the performances all the way around are solid. You have some very good actors in this movie. Shea Wiggum does a good job as Parker Jones. You have Olivia Munn, who does a very great job in here. She's not the greatest actress ever, but I think she is a good actress for what she is capable of. Also, she's very beautiful as well, so that does add to it. Zach Avery does a good job. I think Bruce Dern and Frank Grillo does a good job as the villains. You also have Tara Manning, who's also very good in the movie. I think the performances all the way around are really good. And I did like the story of the social worker, and who is troubled but dedicated, and he works and he helps assist a struggling single mom and her daughter get away from trouble, but the father returns and drags family back into this, therefore leading into all this crazy chaotic action crime thriller at awesomeness. And it's fun. It knows what it is, not trying to be high art. And for the most part, I definitely did enjoy a lot of what this movie had to offer. It is something we've seen before, but I think what this movie does well does the premise of what it's out to do interestingly, and it definitely does go for it. I definitely do like a lot of what this movie goes for when it comes to the action and crime adventure-esque type. I did like the production design of the movie. It's a very good, done for production design. It's not a very well-known film. It is a movie that, of course, it was made for theaters and VOD, but I think the performances and the way this movie is handled is a very well handled story. I do like the way this movie is handled. I do like the way this movie plays out, and it gave you exactly what you want. It comes with you. I know I've repeated that quite a few times, but you know what? But I think the way the movie wraps up is also really good. The way the story happens, and the way the locations is, and the action scenes are pretty intense, pretty wild. And I think the score and technical aspects are very good here. I think the extreme violence in the movie is very well done. I definitely did enjoy a lot of the movie. What it was presenting, what it was saying, and what it was doing. There was not a moment where I questioned the movie. And I did enjoy a lot of what the movie was bringing out. But when it comes to the issues, I thought the villain was weak. I think the second act is definitely the weakest part, even though it was high-octane action. And I will say, it did get a little slow. But for the most part, I did find myself to be happily invested in what was going on. The performance was good, the directing was entertaining, and I did enjoy what the movie movie brought. So, as long as the movie entertained me, I did enjoy it. So, in a lot of ways, The Gateway, while it wasn't the greatest thing ever, I did enjoy it for what it was. And I am willing to give this a highly recommendation. If you can find it, watch it. Now we get to the movie that I am the most excited to talk about, and that is Spencer.
They know everything. They don't.
This is directed by Pablo Larraín and written by Stephen Knight. This stars, of course, Kristen Stewart. Oh, who would have thought? He's reviewing the movie with Kristen Stewart. Well, let's just say after this movie and watching a couple other Kristen Stewart's movies, I've had a resurgence on Kristen Stewart as an actress. Yep, it happened. And what Spencer is telling is the story of the marriage between Princess Diana and Prince Charles has long since grown cold. And there's rumors of affairs and the divorce coming around, so peace is ordained for the Christmas festivities at the Queen's estate. There's eating and drinking, shooting and hunting. Diana knows the game, but things are profoundly different. And throughout this movie, we're basically seeing a side of Spencer of the Queen, as I can say that we're talking about mental health. That's the thing I can just best ascribe to it. So when it comes to Spencer, I heard rave reviews about this. I heard people saying that this is going to be Kristen's Oscar movie. This is going to be the movie that makes people think different of her. And I just saw the trailers and reviews. I'm like, no. Because between the Twilight movies, which I don't even hate her in, and the 2019 Charlie's Angels movie, I just literally said, I'm done with anything Kristen Stewart related. I don't want to see anything else with Kristen Stewart. But seeing her other movies where she's good in, where she's legit giving a good performance, and seeing her in here, I have to be honest here. This is more of a dissection of how much one can feel repressed by these troubling memories. And I definitely have to say, I was very taken away by this, very surprised by this. I do think it's a little overly hyped, just a little bit. But I definitely have to say Spencer is definitely one of the best 2021 for sure. The best thing I definitely have to give credit to right now is Kristen Stewart, which Kristen Stewart is a good actress. I'm going to say it right now. If you were to tell me that in 2019 that after Charlie's Angels she was going to hit hard with a performance like this, I would not have believed you in any way, shape, or form. But I've got to admit, she impressed. She brought her A game. She was really great as Princess Diana. You do get the feeling and the regretfulness of the choices that she's made to get herself to where she is, but also how terrified she is and how scared she is. And I know people are mad because she probably won't get the Oscar nomination, but even if she does not walk away with an Academy Award win, there's other times. And she absolutely knocks out of the park in this role. She is fantastic. And this made me think differently of her. And all the people out there who still call her the Twilight Girl, you can stop calling her the Twilight Girl, because she has proven with this performance and other performances outside that franchise, she is not that girl anymore. Add to it, I think the rest of the cast in the movie is very strong in here. Everyone does a really good job of their strong performances. Timothy Spall and Sally Hawkins and Jack Farding and Sean Harris. All of the performances in this movie are really great. I love the performances in this movie. Each performance is there anchoring Kristen Stewart, but it's really Kristen Stewart who carries this movie on her shoulders. And I think she really is great in the roles that here, and she is fantastic in here. She definitely comes to her own. She definitely plays this part in amazingly well. And Jack Nealon as Prince William is also very good. I think every performance in this movie is really good too. You get to see Kristen Stewart's point of view of how things are going around. I have to say, I think the direction of the movie is very strong. This is a very strongly directed film. I haven't seen Jackie, but this movie I think is really good from a direction standpoint. It definitely paints this picture of Princess Diana and what she's going through. You do get the dementia side things. Like, this is a biographical drama, but at the really core of it, it is kind of a psychological drama because it's dealing with the things that Princess Diana did go through with the dementia phase, and I think the way it went about it is done, handled very well. It's executed very well. Like I said, on top of that, Kristen Stewart's performance does add on to that as well. And from cinematography standpoint, you have some very good-looking shots of the movie. It's a very visually gorgeous film to look at from cinematography and camera direction, costume design, makeup, set voice, even the makeup on Kristen Stewart. You forget it's Kristen Stewart. You see that it's actually the princess. It's actually Queen Spencer, the Queen of England. It's actually her, Princess of Wales, and she was great. I thought she really did a good job. The makeup was really great. The score is really good. And I think the editing is a very well-paced film. And is very well-paced. I sat there for the entirety of the movie and I wasn't bored. I was sitting there. I was enjoying it. I think it definitely did what it set out to do. And for the hour and 57 minutes, I was enthralled. I was invested into the journey. And it definitely gets into a lot of things that this movie was going for. And I did enjoy what the movie was trying to do. So, in many ways, the movie definitely did succeed in what this movie told. It's a very well matriculated film. And it's a nice, intimate look into her life. And it's very haunting, and it is nothing short of bittersweet. And this is a nice, beautiful tribute to Princess Diana, honoring the life that she always hoped for, but at the same time, it's a painful realization of the constant terrors that she's always faced. And with a movie like this is definitely not going to be for everybody. I don't think everyone is going to like this movie, but it's very unorthodox type storytelling. It's very different from your usual biographic, which I will say that is kind of my only issue with the movie, is that it's not going to be a movie I go back to that often, but if I do, I will be very happy to do so. But overall, Spencer is absolutely incredible. Definitely one of the best movies of last year. If you have not seen this, it's on Hulu, it's on Amazon Prime, it's on Blu-ray and DVD. What are you doing? Watch this movie. Kristen Stewart is absolutely great, and she's earned my respect. Anything she does next, I'm going to be there, even if the movie is bad. Because you know what? Kristen Stewart, I had a resurgence on her acting. She is a good actress when you give her something to do. It's just she has to be handcuffed to the worst franchise with her name associated with. I think this is a very good movie, and I am definitely going to give it a better than Vampire Diaries. That concludes my second round of catch-up 2021 catch-up movie reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've seen any of these movies, in the comment section down below, what did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere right in the middle? All my social media links, Crystal Box down below. If you'd like to send money to my Cash App or such, those are down there as well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Join the Epitasis, and you guys keep it cool.